to help set the scene for today's program. Thank you. Well, the video is being loaded, and as we wait, I can promise you that we're going to enjoy every moment of today's program, because we have, a lot of dignitaries that are here that, decided to share this moment with us today.
Nigeria's education system might be getting another major shift. The federal government is looking to scrap the 934 model and replace it with a 12-4 system, as proposed by the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa. But what does this really mean? If approved, the structure of junior and senior secondary schools will be phased out, and instead, every Nigerian child will go through 12 uninterrupted years of basic education before deciding on higher studies or vocational training. But how did we get here? Nigeria's education system has seen several transformations over the years. Before 1983, the country used a 6-5-4 system: 6 years of primary school, 5 years of secondary, and 4 years in university. In 1983, the government introduced the 6-3-3-4 system, which split secondary school into 3 years of junior and 3 years of senior secondary education. 2006, this changed again to 934, making the first 9 years of education primary plus junior secondary compulsory under Universal Basic Education (UBE). Now in 2025, we might be shifting to 12-4, making secondary school an extension of basic education. What's the goal? This change aims to standardize learning, improve vocational training, and reduce dropout rates, especially since Nigeria currently has 12 million out-of-school children. By making education compulsory for 12 years, the government hopes to ensure that students stay in school long enough to gain essential skills before choosing a career path. If implemented, this will also mean major reforms in curriculum, infrastructure, teacher training, and overall education policy. But the big question is, will this shift truly solve Nigeria's education challenges? Or is it just another policy on paper? Let's wait and see. What do you think? Is Nigeria ready for this 12-4 system? Tell us in the comments.
Thank you very much. I am Niyi Kuku, BAK, and I'm honored to be here today to be one of your moderators. Kindly be aware that we have some housekeeping rules that will encourage you to kindly follow, and they are, we must make sure we remain muted if we're not speaking during this program. If you have any questions whatsoever, kindly drop them through the chat, and all will be captured, and then we'll note them. Even if we do not get to address them here today due to constraints, maybe time constraints, we assure you that we will definitely treat them and get back to you. Also, it's important to know that it's not everybody that puts questions out there that will be given opportunity to talk. So our moderators will be speaking about the questions. They will be putting the questions across. Importantly as well, we have a short poll towards the end of the program that will encourage you and ask you to please complete. On that note, I would like to introduce to you my co-moderator in person of Mosun Adeniyi, who is also the head of education team. Thank you very much. I hand you over to our head of education team, Mosun Adeniyi.
Thank you, Akogun. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are joining us from around the world. A warm welcome to our distinguished speakers, educators, policymakers, alumni, students, and friends who've logged in from Nigeria, the UK, and beyond. I'm delighted to serve as your host for today's seminar, Education in Nigeria, Understanding the 6334 versus 123 formula. What's in a number? Thank you for taking the time to connect with us virtually. Please make sure your coffee, tea, or water is within reach, your camera is on, if bandwidth allows, and your mind is open for what promises to be a truly insightful conversation. For those who may be hearing about us for the first time, the Nigerian Schools Foundation UK, fondly called NSF UK, is a dynamic network of Nigerians in the diaspora, made up of alumni from different secondary schools across Nigeria. NSF UK is a non-political, non-religious organization. Our mission is to give back to the schools that built us, to the teachers who inspired us, and to the education system that shaped our beginnings. Over the years, NSF UK has led projects to refurbish classrooms, support teachers, award scholarships, and encourage mentorship. We also create spaces like this, seminars and dialogue that connect the diaspora with education stakeholders back home. So on behalf of NSF UK, I say welcome and thank you for being part of this important discussion today. Now, let's turn to those mysterious numbers that brought us together, 6334 and 123. At first glance, these numbers might look like the exam codes or telephone extensions. But in truth, they carry decades of Nigeria's educational journey, each one representing a vision of how we prepare our children for the future. The familiar 6334 system has guided Nigerian education for more than 40 years. The newer 123 model suggests a shift, a continuous 12-year foundation before tertiary or vocational specialization. So our conversation today isn't about arithmetic, it's about purpose. What do these numbers say about the kind of learners, citizens, and leaders we want to raise? A quick rewind to where it all began. Before independence, Nigeria followed the 6523 system, inherited from the British model, designed mostly to produce grammar school graduates. Then came a bold new direction in 1982. The 6334 system was introduced. 6 years of primary, 3 years of junior secondary, 3 years of senior secondary, and 4 years of tertiary education. It aimed to create balanced, self-reliant, and skilled individuals. But as times changed, technology, economy, global competition, so did our needs. Hence the discussion about the 12-3 formula, proposing 12 uninterrupted years of basic education before specialization. That's the context we are exploring today. So what's the difference? The 6334 system breaks education into stages, structured and familiar. The 12-3 model offers continuity, keeping learners on a steady, cohesive path for 12 years. Both approaches have merit, both have limitations. But our main concern is this: which model best equips Nigerian learners for today's world? one driven by innovation, technology, and global opportunity. And beyond that, how can any structure, whatever the numbers, truly serve our young people and our nation's development goals? We all know the challenges: millions of out-of-school children, under-resourced classrooms, teacher shortages, curriculum gaps. Switching formulas won't fix this by itself. But conversations like this, linking experts, alumni, policymakers, and educators across continents can. That's what today is about: building bridges, sharing insights, and generating practical ideas. And that's exactly what NSF UK stands for: connection, collaboration, and contribution. As we move into the presentations and discussions, I'd like to invite you, our virtual audience, to be part of this conversation. Please use the chat to share your thoughts, drop your questions, and react to the speakers. Let's make this session interactive and alive. And as we do so, let's think beyond numbers. Let's think about what kind of education we want for Nigeria. One that nurtures curiosity, confidence, and creativity. So, what's in a number? Perhaps not as much as what's behind it: the vision, the policy, the passion. Whether it is 6334 or 123, our focus should be on ensuring that every Nigerian child has access to quality education that prepares them not just for exams, but for life. As a proud member of NSF UK, I am inspired by what this platform represents: Nigerians everywhere coming together to make education stronger, fairer, and relevant. So once again, thank you for logging in, for lending your voice, and for being part of this journey. Please stay engaged, drop your comments, and let's make the most of this virtual space. Thank you. I like to pause here and put on, as my co-moderator mentioned earlier, I'm actually wearing two hats. So today I also have the opportunity of serving as your moderator. So I'll be popping up occasionally to say one or two things. Now, what I would like us to do is that we are now going to move on within our program, and we would like to invite the first of our speakers in the person of Dr. Temi Ladenika. But before we go to Dr. Temi, I would like to pass us over to my co-moderator, Akogun, to kindly introduce us to our speaker. Akogun, over to you.
Hello.
Thank you very much, Lady Mo. Yeah, I'm Dr.
Well, what we've done is you.
Hello. Yes. Yes. Dr. Temi, qualified educational professional with 4 decades of leading and educational leadership experience. Dr. Temi Ladenika has a proven record of successful engagement at both university and secondary education levels. In addition to being a lecturer with a top 10 QS University, world ranking higher institution, Dr. Temi Ladenika is a senior fellow of the UK Higher Education Academy, that's Advanced HE, as well as a proprietor and head teacher of a small group learning independent school. Dr. Temi Ladenika has strong organizational and leadership skills and has done extensive work providing staff development opportunities for Nigerian schools in the private sector. You're welcome, Dr. Temi Ladenika.
Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. It's a real pleasure to be here. And as I'm talking, because technology and I are not always good friends, I'm going to try and share my slides so that those are in place for you when I start. And so when I do this, kindly note in the chat or whichever way that you can see them. Can I just confirm that everybody can see my slides? Yes?
We can see your slides. Thank you, Dr. Temi.
Thank you, Lady Mo. Really appreciate. It's a real pleasure to be here. And just for me to clarify, my role here is to talk about the UK perspective. Having said that, you sort of wonder, well, why is a Nigerian talking about a UK perspective? And that's because, as with many of us in the diaspora, quite a few of us are hybrids, if I dare to use that word. And so we sort of have one foot in one country and one foot in another. And just to clarify where I'm coming from, the University College London Institute of Education is my employer, but my employer has not sent me here to talk about this today. But it's really important when we're engaging in seminars like this to be clear about what our affiliation is. And so UCL Institute of Education is my affiliation, but I'm here as a Nigerian in diaspora who has had experience of both cultures. And with some experience, I'm able to give the UK perspective. So what are we looking at today? We're going to actually have a little thought about why is it that we're looking at a British perspective. Indeed, the video that we watched at the start and the introduction that the head of education has given us has sort of pointed to those British, should we say, roots or influences on our Nigerian education. And I think in that sense, it's good to take a look at the British perspective and see its relevance to what's going on. I'm also going to touch on the structure, well, this is what I've been asked to do, touch on the structure of the British education system. And actually, is it British? Well, we'll have a look at that. And then we'll talk a bit about post-16 education as well. So where is British? Because sometimes when we say something is British, we sort of wonder what it means. And so just take a little look at that. So in the picture here, I hope you can all see the map. We have the colored in areas, and geographically, I'm sure many of you know this already, but just in case we have, and I'm sure we do have many people logging on from other countries, geographically, there are two islands, Great Britain and Ireland, called the British Isles. But for our purposes in education, we're looking at the United Kingdom. And so the United Kingdom are those areas that have been shaded in, which is Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And you might wonder, why is she talking about all of this? She was asked to talk about the British system. But that's the point. What is the British system? Which one is British? And when we get to looking at the structure, hopefully we'll be able to make that a bit clear. But sorry, I'll just nip back there. But so just bear in mind that we've got these four countries, should we say, because they actually are seen as countries, depending on whether it's the World Cup or it's the Olympics or it's the rugby league or whatever it is, but anyway, I might be throwing out red herrings here, so I'll just stick to the point. So basically, we're looking at the British system, and what we want to do is to make it clear as to what we mean by the British system. So what are the influences? Because there are influences of this British system on our Nigerian education system. And as of course, as many of us will know, missionaries came centuries ago, 1 century ago, thereabouts, 2 centuries ago. And there was that before the missionaries came in the 19th century, there were education systems already in place. There were indigenous systems. There was a Muslim system which came as a result, or Islamic system, should I say? I'm using Fafunwa's term, Babs Fafunwa, 1947, and I know that looks like a very old reference, but still very relevant today, especially when we're looking at reasons why we're doing what we're doing. So he gives a kind of background. If I don't know if anyone's done that reading or come across his work, but it gives us a background to what was taking place before the missionaries came. But point is, they came, and many of them, if not all, well, they were all British, but well, some were Irish. If they were from Northern Ireland, they would have been British, and if they were from the Irish Republic, they would have been Irish. And of course, there were also English and Scottish missionaries as well. And so in it, again, we sort of draw all these influences together and we call them British, which they probably are. And then, of course, we have those contradictory forces of liberation and subjugation. Nigeria was colonized, as we know, and Nigeria was brought together as a political entity. And I know the historians will have the purist view of what I'm saying. I'm not a historian, but as a Nigerian who has lived in Nigeria and experienced the culture and the country, we all know that Nigeria was colonized and we gained independence in 1960, and that was a journey, that was an experience, that was something that influences and has a strong effect on who we are and how we are today. And I do describe those deliberately as contradictory forces of liberation and subjugation. We're liberated from some things and we're subjugated in other ways. And as has already been said, the 653 British education structure, we had that in education up until 1983. And then this 6334 system started. And I remember when I started teaching in Nigeria in 1985, the 6334, no, sorry, 1980, yes, it was 1985, sorry, too long ago to remember now. I started off teaching there, and it was very much the 6334, 6 years of primary, 3 years of junior secondary, 3 years of senior secondary and 4 years of university. And but we're still looking at this British influence. So the British influence was there, as has already been said, until 1983. And then there was a reawakening of private schools. And many of us who were in secondary schools in Nigeria in the 70s, particularly in Lagos, which was quite dominant with regards to things like private schools, you might remember that you might have gone to a private primary school, but by the time it came to secondary school, they were stopped. The government took over, there were all these political moves, and I think with laudable intentions. And it wasn't until round about the early 2000s that these private schools gradually started coming back, or maybe shortly before then. And when they came back, many of them favored a British approach. So you see British so-and-so school in some posh place, not charging naira and that sort of thing. And even if it wasn't a posh place, if it was a sort of under the Bates, if you understand what Bates means, the under Bates type of schools will also have a Montessori British flavor, because this idea of British, is attractive and brings the parents. And if you're running a private school, well, you need the parents to bring their kids and so on. So again, this idea of a British influence, this understanding or assumption that a British approach is a standard, and it probably is, or there is reason for that. And so, yes, that's another reason why we're looking at the British perspective, and we're considering, we're having a thought about it with this new change that has come, this 12-3 change. Another interesting find that when I was preparing for this, well, one interesting find that I came across when preparing for this seminar was the influence from the DFID. People might be familiar with that, Department for International Development, which is now under, the UK Department for International Development, which is now under, what's it under? It's under the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, the FCDO. They had this project called the Deepen Project, thank God for the internet. And it took place in between June 2011 and July 2020. And I found it really interesting that there was this intention to support private schools. And I hate reading out slides, but I'm going to read out this bit simply because I found it so fascinating. The DFID support will facilitate change and support innovation in the private education system in Lagos to improve the quality of education delivered by private schools, particularly schools which serve poor children. And I remember being completely flabbergasted when I saw that, because I had spent many years in between 2004 and 2013 working with private schools. There were the middle schools, fly down from London, visit these schools, offer training to staff and so on. It was called the Private Schools Forum. And there was never a pip from anybody about any connection with the DFID. So it might just be that the schools I was working with, an odd 50 of them, just didn't have that connection. I don't know. But what I find interesting is that from that document, I realized that the British engagement with Nigerian education was still, a lot more active than we would have thought it was, up to about 2020, which was barely 5 years ago. So that's something to think about. Is it still there? We don't know. Are they still doing this? Do they still have this? I don't know. Checking on, I think it's called Dev Tracker or so. DEEPEN means completely something different now. It's something to do with Ethiopia and something like that. It's exactly the same acronym, but it's changed to another set of countries. So that was also interesting. But anyway, the British influence or engagement seems to still persist. So what is the structure? When we say we're following a British curriculum or there is a British influence, what does that mean exactly? So this new 12, what's it called again? 12-3 system is a structure, isn't it? And keeping an eye on my time. And if we look at the UK structure, so we say that there was a British influence on how we organized our school system up until 1983. And if we look at the current British English, current structure in the UK, let's put it that way, the current structure in the UK, this is what we have. It depends on the country that you're in. So for example, if you're in England, you have the early years, primary key stage 1, key stage 2, which is also primary, and then secondary key stage 3 and secondary key stage 4. And you can see the numbers of years there. So age 3 to 5, 5 to 7, and so on. Early years is optional, but when you're from age 5, it's compulsory. So anything that is not stated as optional here is compulsory. If you happen to be in Scotland, it is compulsory from age 4 and 5. From age 4 to 5, and then all the way through until you get to S4, which is supposedly secondary 4. And then after secondary 4, secondary 5 and 6 are not compulsory. So that's a different structure. If you look at Wales, Wales is very much similar to England. However, Wales has a foundation stage, which is age 3 to 7, compulsory from age 5. So again, there's a slight difference there. And then again, it's similar to England all the way through to 16. And with Northern Ireland, again, you can see slight differences and similarities as outlined on this table. Okay, so that's for the earlier phases, early years, primary and secondary. And then if we take a look at what happens after secondary, post-16, so in England, it's compulsory from ages 16 to 18, and that was a new change. And as you can see, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland at those ages are optional. It's not compulsory for you to be in education at post-16 in those countries. The different types of offer at post-16, you have sixth form, age 16 to 18. You also have further education and adult education, which tend to use the same type of education institution, in other words, colleges. So if you go to your local college, you could do what you do in in sixth form, which is your A levels, or you could do a range of BTECs or other vocational courses. And of course, you might also decide to do an apprenticeship, and I'll say a bit more about apprenticeship in a minute.
Dr. Temi,
Yeah.
5-minute time check. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I've got my BDI on my time as well, and so we're saying the same thing. Thank you very much. And then you've got higher adult education and higher education. Apprenticeships, as you would expect, are it's called, what's it? You're earning while you're learning. Earn while you learn. And so it's an opportunity for you to go directly into the world of work. And while you're getting on with the work, you're also learning. You're learning about your trade, or you're learning about your area of interest. And of course, it's a lot different from going off to university, for example, and getting a degree, coming out with no experience, and then having to try to find work. The apprenticeship system here is very much funded by the government, and it's all the way from level 1 to level 7. Level 1 and 2 are GCSE levels, and level 7, as we probably know, is master's level. So you can be an apprentice at any point during this time. And so we have the apprenticeships. It's interesting that the video that was shown earlier spoke about vocational education. And vocational education and apprenticeships are quite similar, except that with apprenticeships, you're right in there doing the work. With vocational education, there's still a bigger percentage of your time in an educational institution. So what's important? Why are we bothering with this? Why are we taking time to look at this? What is education about? In other words, whether it's 6334 or it's 123 or 635 or 5653, or whatever formula we want to put on it, is it the ages and stages that matter? You know, what do we want as people, Nigerian people, for our education system? What's important? Is it the structure, or is it the curriculum? Which at one time you'd be told the curriculum is what takes place in a school. And as the years have gone, by curriculum is a lot broader than that. Is the whole learner school experience. Again, I keep quoting this video because I found it very interesting, saying, oh, well, so children are going to have to be in school for 12 years. And I'm thinking, right, there's a large school dropout rate at the moment, X million of children out of school, and then we're making it longer. Okay. I hope to be educated at this seminar, as to what I think, I might be missing in this. But it's really interesting to have a look at that. What is important? What are children going to do in school for 12 years? What's the curriculum going to be? Who is it for? Who is education for? Is it for the individual, preparing them for life? Having an impact on them, a rite of passage, if you want to call it that? Or do we set schools up for the workplace? And hopefully some of these questions might be answered for us in this seminar, or we might get to think a bit more about them, even if we don't get answers. Or is education for society? When the teachers, well, definitely in the UK want to go on strike, and they're very cross with the government because the government is not doing what we want. Excuse me, please. We will say schools are agents of social construction. We're just a big child-minding organization. And, you have all those sort of quirky statements being made because people are not too happy. But if we want to really sit back and take a look at it, who is education for? What's it for? Is it for the individual? If it is for the individual, and it is about their life chances, then what's about the structure and the curriculum that we've put together, or that is being put together, that will promote that, or that would help an individual achieve what they want to be? Or is education for society, to meet the needs of society? And it's like, we just need the kids out of the house at a certain point so parents can go off to work and, generate funds to run the economy, or we need people to fund jobs. We need people in the workplace, and we don't need too many doctors. So don't create too much opportunities for people to become doctors. No, we don't need too many of those. We need more. What do we need? We need more bricklayers, or we need more engineers. What's education about? And hopefully we'll be able to throw up those questions and explore a bit more. And that's really it. And I'll just end with this quotation from Fisher, another very old quotation, but still relevant today. Province of popular education is to equip men and women of this country, I would say of any country, for the tasks of citizenship. All are called upon to live, many are called upon to die. for the community of which they form a part. And of course, this was quoted in 1918, which was the end of the First World War, so understandably. But the argument does not rest on the grounds of political prudence only, but upon the right of human beings to be considered as ends in themselves and be entitled, so far as our imperfect social arrangements may permit, to know and to enjoy all the best that life can offer in the sphere of knowledge, emotion, and hope. And Fisher, I believe, was a member of parliament in that time with some connection to education. So thank you everyone for listening. I hope you found it useful.
Thank you very much, Dr. Temi. And I've kept an eye on the chat, and there are some questions for you. But at this stage, we're just going to pause for one moment. What I would say is that any questions that you have specifically for Dr. Temi, drop them in the chat. Dr. Temi is kindly going to be with us throughout the rest of this session. And we do have a panel session later on. So, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Charles Obazuaye, who is a valued member of the NSF UK education team, and he is going to introduce us to, and I'm not going to tell you who, he's going to introduce us to our keynote speaker for today. So over to you, Charles.
Thank you very much, my leader. If I wasn't valued before, now I'm valued now because I've delivered you an august speaker. Just before I go into that, can I ask the IT team to switch the camera to the next speaker, please? Can I highlight the next speaker? Is that possible? Thank you very much. So thank you very much. I like to look at the speaker in the eyes and then do my best to read out some citations about the speaker. We're running out of time, which puts pressure on me in a way to try and do justice to the introduction of our honorable guest. Those who know you might probably know who you are. Those who don't know you, probably their mouth is salivating, hoping to understand who you are. First of all, if I continue from where I call her our leader, Mrs. Mosun Adeniyi, finished from. She's the leader of the Education Committee. And you know what leadership is about? Leadership is the act of getting people to do what you want them to do, not for your own selfish interests, but for the collective good of society. Sister Mosun, you charged me with the task last year. You said we have to raise the bar. We have to improve year on year. This seminar has been going on for more than 10 years. We've delivered erudite speakers, scholars. We've delivered professors in the past in our seminar, including the Deputy Minister of Education in Ghana. You said to me, Charles, the only way is up. Who can I get that will surpass all the previous speakers? And I said, you know what? I'm going to gamble. We're going to find someone who authoritatively is the policymaker of education in Nigeria, Dr. Tunji Alausa, that we'll be introducing. So let me start as briefly as I can, because even if you give me the whole day, I couldn't read out your citation. I'll tell you what, I've never met you before. I've met a very close friend of yours, Obanikoro, who we went to school together.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and Senior Femi Pedro, the former Deputy Governor of Lagos State. But I've never met you before. But I tell you what, many of us in the public, we think that anyone who achieves a political appointment is because of political patronage. That can be far from true, reading your CV. You've achieved what you have. You've been headhunted by the president, unsurprisingly, because your CV will match any minister's CV in any part of the world. Those of us who have been privy to look at your CV, courtesy of your office, Larry in particular, will be so impressive. So for some time, I'll call you my brother because I'm proud to call myself your brother. Let me start. The lowest part of your CV is the fact that you read your medicine in University of Lagos. You should have gone to University of Benin that I went to. But apart from that, so you started in terms of your career professionally as a doctor, reading your MBBS from University of Lagos. You then proceeded to United Kingdom and United States to further your postgraduate qualification. Boy, oh boy, did you not excel? You did more than that. You are a medical doctor, but you're a medical doctor with a difference. I've been practicing for the past 1 week to pronounce your area of specialism. I was going to on the side of caution and just call you kidney specialist, but I said no, I'll be doing a disservice to you by not describing as a nephrologist. I hope I got that right. Otherwise, my mother is looking at me from heaven and say, Charles, I did ask you to study hard and become a doctor, but you decided to do something else. But here I am. You did that. Not only you did that in the United States, one of the biggest economic in the whole world, you made your mark. You served and became a chief medical officer, delivering training to other doctors in Chicago and so on and so forth. But most importantly, you set up a kidney center, a dialysis center that very proud of, a value-based center, which means that people who are receiving treatment pay at a low cost, but get the best treatment that is available to them. And that's quite important because if people might not know, to succeed in America as a kidney specialist in a country with over 350 million people, to be recognized, as I will come to in a minute, in terms of who is who as a physician in America in 2007, I think you must be very proud of yourself. We're very, very proud of you. Politically, you've had two positions currently. I'm not surprised that the first appointment you had was as a Minister of Health, because your qualification speaks for itself. It was absolutely right, in my view, put politics to one side. For the minister, for the president, it's honorable president of the country, to headhunt you to come back to Nigeria and the health function. Health is important to what we're talking about today. Any nation that wants to prosper needs to have a very good health system. You did that for 1 year. Unsurprisingly, the following year, October of 2024, you became the current Minister for Education. Education is absolutely important. And I pause and I reflect on what Nelson Mandela said. Nelson Mandela said, the biggest weapon to change a nation, to change the world, is education. You've succeeded in doing that. But more importantly, you've only been there for just about a year. You've put some initiatives together. We know about the Nigerian education sector revival, renewal program you set with the 6-point agenda, which includes some of the things that has bothered NSF over the years. One is about how do we develop the TVET, technical and vocational education. We've talked in the past about the number of women or girls who are out of education in Nigeria and the number of people out of education generally in Nigeria. We've talked about that. You seem to be addressing that. You are interested in the STEM program. You've added another M to the STEM program: science, technology, engineering, and math, but you've added medical sciences, medical services, which is not surprising given your background. But more importantly, what you've also done is that you begin to look at policy areas. One of them you'll be talking about today. I'm not going to steal your thunder, so you can address that yourself. But you've looked at the repositioning of the Almajiri, which is a concern in Nigeria in terms of the value, the place in education around that part of the faith and the northern part of the country's sector in particular. You are also now looking at repositioning the Out of School Commission. You've set aside a program to ensure that technology takes its place in our place. And one of the things people might be asking today is that technology development, does that include the new technology rather than the traditional technology colleges? But finally, and I said earlier on, you must be proud of yourself. As the son of Lagos State, the indigenous of Lagos State, I meant no political pun. You'll be proud to say Ekoni Baje because you're an indigenous of Lagos State in itself. And I said no political pun intended. But just looking at some of the things you've achieved, which puts you in a better position to be proud, chest out, chin up, and say, yes, I'm proud to be a Nigerian. I succeeded in America, in a country where you can provide your own dialysis center. It's quite important. But in terms of accolade, and because I'm conscious of time, is the fact that I just want people to pause and think about, you were given an award, one of America's best physicians in 2007. Can I remind people there are 350 million people in America. For one of our brothers to be given that accolade is absolutely important. Equally, you were given Who is Who award as an outstanding kidney specialist, clinical provider or nephrologist in Chicago in USA. You received the Excellence Award for Distinguished Services to Humanities through medicine or in medicine by Eco Club in particular. Then, of course, as a son of the soil, as we say, of Lagos State, you received the award of the Distinguished Indigene of Lagos State by the then governor, now the president of the country, President Tinubu, in Chicago in 2002. And subsequently, you also give it a committed son of Lagos State by the same president, then the governor of Lagos State. Can I please, and I know I've gone on, I could have gone on and on and on and on and on. And I genuinely mean this. I think we should be proud of your achievement. You deserve to be where you are, not because you are a politician. You've got a CV to match the position you found yourself today. So welcome. Can I ask colleagues to join me, please, in welcoming Doctor, not just a doctor, he keeps quiet about it. He's also a professor. Sir, you earned it. Put it in your name. Dr. Professor, Honorable Federal Minister of Nigeria, Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Charles Obazuaye, for those generous comments and citations. And you actually rightly pronounced the specialty, nephrologist. So your mom will be very proud of you as she was when she was alive and wherever she is now. Let me also really thank all the organizers of the Nigerian Schools Foundation, UK, for the hard work we continue to do to support education in Nigeria and in the Great Britain. Everybody will know, and education is the bedrock of any society, more so a country like ours, Nigeria, that we've always believed in education. And one thing that still gives me a lot of happiness, waking up every day to go to work, is still the zeal, the desire of our citizens, of our young folks, to go to school, and they still see education as a pathway to their life journey. And also and the continuum, I would say, in a situation like that, the parents in Nigeria still believe the pathway for modernization, for development, is education towards human capital development. And I also would like to recognize Mrs. Mosun Adeniyi particularly, and use you as point of reference to all the organizers as well. Today, I would read from a prepared speech, which I don't typically like to do, to get most of my information over to participants of this meeting, this seminar rather, this virtual seminar, so that I'll also try and do it in such a way to save a little bit more time, so that we can have about save about 5-10 minutes. So we'll have about 15-20 minutes for the Q&A. I'm delighted to join you all in this important dialogue focused on strengthening education cooperation between Nigeria and the United Kingdom. Two nations bound by shared history, values, and enduring commitment to the transformative power of education. Permit me to begin by appreciating the organizers once again for creating this platform. It could not have come at a more critical time as we work tirelessly to reposition education in the education sector in Nigeria under the visionary leadership of our President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, whose renewed agenda recognizes education as a cornerstone of sustainable national development. Nigeria's education system stands at an inflection point. A current 6-3-3-4 structure has served us well for decades, but emerging demographic, economic, and technological reality demand that we evolve. We're therefore working towards the introduction of a 12 years foundational learning pathway, followed by differentiated routes that emphasize skills, innovation, and lifelong learning. And to add, I'll be meeting the governor at the Nigerian Governor Forum meeting just next week to finalize our pathway to develop this 12-year foundational learning pathway. This proposed 12-3 or 12-4 system seeks to consolidate the foundational years reduce fragmentation, and ensure that by the time a child completes 12 years of structured learning, they possess both academic grounding and practical competencies to thrive in a competitive global environment. This reform is driven by three pressures for change: the need to prepare a young and growing population. 70% of our population today of 220 million people, they're below the age of 30 years. The need to align education outcomes with demands of technology-driven world, and the urgency to create multiple learning pathways, recognizing education is not one size that fits all. A lot of people who are 50 years above can look back into education system when the technical and vocational schools went hand in hand with the other tertiary institutions. But in the last 2.5 decades, the technical schools have literally been wiped out of that system, but we're introducing, we've aggressively reintroduced this. So we need to create opportunity. We need to skill our young citizens more to deliver for the country and the global economy. In essence, this reform is not just about changing structure. It is about transforming mindset, moving from schooling to learning, from certificate to competence, and from examination success to life success. Under this proposed system, students will enjoy a more engaging, inquiry-driven, and digitally enriched learning environment. Teachers will become facilitators of discovery rather than transmitters of content. Parents will witness a more coherent and predictable learning journey for their children. Stakeholders will find greater transparency, accountability, and data-driven decision-making at all levels. This is the essence of our Nigeria education sector renewal initiative, a bold, evidence-based reform framework that is aligning the education system to meet global standards while addressing local needs. As I've often said, no education system can rise above the quality of its teachers. That is why the Federal Ministry of Education has prioritized teacher professionalism, capacity development, and welfare through the Teacher Quality and Standard Framework under the new strategic vision of Nigerian teachers, new strategic vision of the Registrar of the Teachers Education Council of Nigeria, and continuous professional development programs under UBEC, Federal Ministry of Education Inspire, and our e-learning platform. We're ensuring that Nigerian educators are equipped to deliver 21st century instruction. We're also working quickly to move our teacher professional development content online with AI automation that will assist and guide the teachers in the way they prepare lesson plans, in the way they teach, and in the way they even build their own capacity. We have also launched the Tertiary Institution Staff Support Fund to address the welfare and professional advancement of academic and non-academic staff across our tertiary institutions. Our aim is simple: to restore dignity, motivation, and innovation to the profession, making it once again a career of pride and excellence. We're deliberately harmonizing operations across the education ecosystem. The Nigeria University Commission, the National Board for Technical Education, and the National Commission for Colleges of Education are working collaboratively to align accreditation and quality assurance frameworks. Similarly, assessment agencies such as West African Examination Council, WAHEC, National Examination Council, NECO, and the National Business and Technical Education Board, NAPTEP, are updating their examination standard to reflect the new competency-based learning model. We're also deploying a National Education Data Initiative, NEDI, platform, a unified digital platform that links students, teachers, and institutions for real-time data analytics and data analysis and planning. For the first time, we will have a single source of truth for education data in Nigeria, enabling evidence-based policy and accountability. And I'm happy to report to you today, for the first time in the history of our country, we now have a digitized National Education Management Information System, where our annual school census are now have been uploaded and imputed on a digital platform, where we can now begin to see data in a more real-time manner. The world is witnessing an explosion in artificial intelligence, data science, robotics, and automation, as well as coding. Nigeria will not be left behind. I can assure you of that. We have renewed our primary school and GSS, junior secondary school curriculum to help AI, coding, robotics, creative design, and digital citizen, creative design and digital learning in our teaching and learning at all levels. The curriculum review is also ongoing for our secondary school. That should be completed before the end of this year. All these are in line with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's directive to prepare our youth for the future of work and ensure that Nigeria becomes a hub for digital talent in Africa. We are at a unique point in the development of our nation. We're seeing flattening or negative population growth across America, across Europe, both Western and Eastern Europe. But we have a rapidly growing youth population in Africa. We need to take advantage of this, convert it to demographic dividend and not demographic catastrophe. And Nigeria is leading the charge. We have a president today, and the president of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that believes fervently and benevolently in human capital development. When you talk about human capital development, education stands at the center of it all. Through the AI Shared Infrastructure Initiative and Smart School Project, we're investing in digital learning infrastructure across our schools and tertiary institutions. Our goal is simple: to make every Nigerian child digitally fluent, globally competent, and locally relevant. We recognize the government cannot do this alone. The partnership of non-governmental organizations and diaspora organizations such as the Nigerian Schools Foundation UK and its Nigerian subsidiary, Nigerian Schools Foundation Program, NSFP, is invaluable. Such organizations can play a vital role in, number one, supporting teacher training and curriculum innovation. Number two, facilitating exchange programs and mentorship between Nigeria and UK institutions. Number three, promoting inclusivity and lifelong learning. And finally, mobilizing resources and technical expertise for school improvement. In this regard, we have launched the Diaspora portal, which serves as a one-stop platform for registering and coordinating diaspora-led interventions in education. I warmly invite our UK partners to join this initiative and work with us to drive this meaningful and measurable impact, so that we can have measurable impact. The Diaspora Bridge program connects Nigeria to you and to the rest of the world. We've opened this platform up and we've made it so seamless and easy. Whatever way you want to contribute to education system, a tertiary education system, either by virtual teaching in a university, polytechnics, or colleges of education, manpower development, career mentorship program, career guidance, research. You can do this all digitally, or if you want to come in person as well, we welcome that as well. And the government will provide, will pay for all the logistics, the travel, the local accommodation, feeding, and transportation, provided you'll be spending minimum of 3 weeks to come to any of our institutions. We're waiting. The diaspora bridge is the connection we need to meet your urge to contribute back to your country. While education is on Nigeria's concurrent legislative list, meaning both federal and state governments share responsibility. But once the new framework is adopted by the Nigerian Council of Education, it becomes a national standard. Implementation will, however, be faced and supported by extensive teacher retraining, infrastructure investment, and stakeholder consultation to ensure that no state or institution is left behind. A critical pillar in our reform agenda is the skills to job pathway. We're expanding technical and vocational education and training to ensure that young Nigerians acquire the competency needed for employment and entrepreneurship. I'm happy to report to this forum that when we opened a TVET portal about 6 months ago, we had about 1.3 million young Nigerians enrolled within the first 2 weeks. Today, we have now about 960,000 Nigerians all active on the portal, and I'm very delighted to inform you that our TVET initiative is real. This is just not another government announcement or policy announcement. And today, under our Nigeria Education Sector Renewal Initiative, we're very impatient in moving policies to actions, in moving policy to real-life granularity of deployment. Today, we enrolled, as part of our first cohort of 250,000 students that we're starting with our TVET program, I'm happy to report that well over 70,000 students have already started training at the skill training centers. And in the next few weeks, we will complete the enrollment of the additional 130,000 students for the first cohort of 6-month training. We have also introduced STEM Venture Capital Grant, STEM VGC, to support students and graduates with innovative projects that can create jobs, that can generate jobs and scalable enterprise. We're meeting her commitment to our young citizens, to our youth. We now have this student VCG that we call it, Student Venture Capital Grant. We will be giving each student 50 million to scale up their innovation that is in market. We're not spending this money for research, but to scale up. That's why it's called a venture capital grant. The first disbursement will be happening in the next few weeks. Our vision is simple: to make skills the new currency of opportunity in Nigeria. What we're building in Nigeria is not just educational system, it's a foundation for human capital development, national unity, and global competitiveness. On the renewed agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, we're transforming education into an instrument for inclusive growth, innovation, and social mobility. We're determined to ensure that every Nigerian child, regardless of their background, has access to quality education that equips them to learn and lead. You must also have heard about our ambitious Nigeria Education Loan Fund, which today have over 530,000 students enrolled, benefiting from the full tuition fee replacement we don't have in Nigeria. Student fee, we're paying their student fees, and we're paying stipend. Beyond paying the student fees and paying stipend to these students at the tertiary institution, we're also mobilizing resources back to our tertiary institution. Today, in the last 16 months plus since the NEL Fund program has been instituted, over 100 billion naira has been deployed. About 40 billion naira payments in direct stipend to the students, and about 60 billion to our tertiary institution. We're also improving the value chain in a tertiary institution. Let me conclude with this conviction. The transformation of our education system is the transformation of our nation itself. By investing in the minds of the people today, we're securing the prosperity of generations to come. Together, with the support of our friends and partners in the United Kingdom and across the world, we can make this vision a reality. And we're already making this vision a reality. I thank you for listening, and I wanted to profusely thank the Nigerian Schools Foundation UK for putting this amazing lecture seminar together. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alausa. Please excuse me. There's a slight frog in my throat. I shall take a sip of water. As I had mentioned earlier, just for reference to colleagues who may have just recently joined us, I am one of the co-moderators here today. My name is Mrs. Mosun Adeniyi. I am also head of the education team. So thank you very much, Dr. Alausa. It is really great to hear the wonderful things that are happening. Not just hearing about the policies, etc., that the government has put in place, but to actually hear the numbers of the responses that you're getting. Now, we are now going to go into a short Q&A session, and we have been keeping our eyes on the chat. And I will now have a look in the chat, and I'll come back to you with one or two questions. We may give the opportunity to one or two members of the audience as well to ask their questions. But as we know, it will all be guided by time. And once again, thank you very much, Dr. Alausa, for out of your very busy schedule for creating time for us. So the first question that I have here is a question which has been asked by Zechariah Agieno, and I do apologize for the pronunciation of that name. And the question is, how do we measure success or lack thereof of these models? So some of the programs, some of the initiatives that you've mentioned, what metrics can we use to track the effectiveness of these schemes, especially the impact on employment, innovation, and national development? I'm happy to repeat the question again, sir, if you want me to do that.
No, I got it. Do you want to, should we take two questions at a time? For
two
better
questions
time? At a time.
At a time.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm taking notes.
Okay.
I'm taking notes here.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Do we have, I am going to seize that opportunity then. Do we have any of our participants who has a question that they would like to ask so that the Honorable Minister can take two questions at a time? One thing I will say is that we have encouraged people to please drop your questions in the chat. I have a feeling that we are all in awe of what you have shared with us, sir. So it's probably taking a little bit of time for it to settle in.
Okay,
But
let's do this. Adeniyi, I'm sorry to interrupt. Let them, since you don't have the bank yet, question bank yet.
Yes.
Let me take that one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you very much.
I thought you had that back. So thank you so much, Zach, for your question. How do we measure success in terms of metrics and metrics like employabilities and impact? And I'll tell you, is data. Without data, it's like you're flying blind. And I'm going to use the president's word itself that I wrote clearly in my office. Without data, it's like you're flying blind. Without data, you're not doing anything. And that's why we've deployed data as part of what we do. We're using evidence-based policies now. We're designing our policies based on evidence, implementing based on evidence, and looking at the results. We intervene where our outcomes are making measurable impact, or those interventions are not working. And that's why one of the first things we've done quickly is to deploy our Nigerian Education Data Initiative platform. that aggregates all educational data on one platform. And as we see this, we see this data, we can disaggregate, aggregate, and analyze this data to see how we're making progress. And I'll give you a specific example here with our TVET initiative, the Technical Vocational Education and technical vocational education training. We've also set up what we call MESI. That's the online job portal that we get students, people, as you're graduating from the technical colleges, it's a job market for employers to come and see, look at the fields of studies they need, and we've done this with the private sector as well. And we can now see how many students are graduating, from what areas, from what trade, and how many of them are getting jobs. Those platforms have been completely developed. And now, we also have our governance transparency today for the first time in the history of our nation. We know our universities, our polytechnics, and tertiary institutions, they're reporting their data, on student enrollment, what courses are they're doing, and at their graduation rate. We intend to map this to the jobs they're getting. We've also completed a labor gap analysis to see the areas of need across our various subsectors. So as we build this mega database, we can now have clear picture what specialty students are going, the ones that are getting job the most, and what kind of job they're using. So we're already on that. We've done, and we're measuring data, and if you look at several of our policy decisions and policy implementation that we've come out lately with, these are based on real data. We're not making policies now, we're not actualizing decisions on implementing decisions based on emotional wins and caprices. They're based on data. And I can tell you a more specific decision change. One major change that we made last week about students going about the O-level requirement for students, either English and maths being compulsory. And I know there's some few segments of our society that are stridently opposed to that, but these are not decisions made by emotions. They're made based on data. We have today about 2.1 million students doing JAMB. Now, every year, about 1.9 million people will do WAHEC. 1.2 million of those students will pass with English and maths, 5 credits that include English and maths. 1.75 million will pass with 5 credits that include either English or maths. So today we have, and JAMB would only take 700,000 students. We review the data of JAMB, and lots of students are actually passing JAMB. The limitation is that they don't have the credit to get to school. We already have a lot of access in a tertiary institution, so capacity is not an issue. So we're putting policy into real-life data that we're gathering. So if we moved by changing the requirement of O levels from, if you're going to study law, you don't need maths. If you're going to study theater art, you don't need maths. This is common sense. This is not by emotion. So suddenly now, by doing that if you're going to study law or art, no need for maths. We've opened up the pool of almost 600,000 more students that can go into tertiary institutions. Also, on the real life front, what's happening? We're talking about out-of-school children at foundational level. Today, we're also creating adolescent out-of-school children. These young boys and girls, they finish secondary school, but they can't go into any tertiary institution. And we all know that some people are just not good testers. You now expose these people to even 2 years of national diploma, 3 years of college of education, or 4 years of university education. You've helped them build their human capability, and you've positioned them better for the future. So I just said that, I just a small microcosm of the way we're using data to guide our policy and to guide our implementation and to monitor outcomes. I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, sir. A few other questions have come in as well, which I will read out in a moment. But I would also like to give the opportunity to Dr. Toski Ogufemi, who has a question. May I please ask that you kindly mention your name and just go straight to asking your question. We're conscious of time, and we want to make sure that we can ask as many questions as possible. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Mrs. Adeniyi, and thank you, my Honorable Minister. My name is Dr. Adetokunbo Femi from Alausa, UK. As Mrs. Dr. Ladenika said before, I'm between the two cultures. I studied in Nigeria in the Polytechnic and University before coming here as a lecturer as well. My little bit concern is maybe you could help us to add to this implementation of yours. Polytechnic. Many of us that go to Polytechnic in Nigeria is either we fail our JAMB and we've been transferred to Polytechnic. And after doing OND, they categorize OND as equivalent of A levels. So you go direct to university. But now, most of the polytechnics in Nigeria are being converted to university, right? Technical school. Many of us who fail to go to Polytechnic, maybe I'm very good in entrepreneurship and all that, they transfer me to go and do technical school. Technical school has been phased out. In Nigeria now, no technical school. None of our parents in Nigeria believe apprenticeship. Even if there's an apprenticeship in Nigeria, many of Nigerian parents will say, apprenticeship? No, you can't do apprenticeship. Here, apprenticeship is a big thing now. Even if you implement apprenticeship in Nigeria, will there be any companies to sponsor them from year 1, 2, 3, 4? Please, sir, A level is gone. In here, compulsorily, as a lecturer here, which I've been doing this for 32 years, when our students come from 4th year of their degree in Nigeria to come to final year in London here, we deem fit, we can't take them to 3rd year. We have to ask them to go back to 2nd year or 1st year because they could not fit into our curriculum. So I'm pleading as our Mrs. Adeniyi and other we believe in this platform. Please see to technical school. Not everybody will go to university. Even our children here, they're saying, Dad, Mom, I'm not going to university, I want to go to apprenticeship. Because they will be going to apprenticeship for module by module, to make life easier for the economy. And from technical school, once you finish your technical school, you can allow to go to 3rd year in Polytechnic or university. So please consider that as a gateway for education, and that will empower many of us. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ogufemi. Dr. Alausa, may I add another question to that? Which
okay, Mr.
Do you want to address that separately? Okay. Okay, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, please, because thank you, Dr. Ogufemi, for your passion. If I may say, NSF, I'll challenge Nigerian Schools Foundation, please. If you can arrange a one hour for us to talk about agenda for technical and vocational education, okay. I'll come up. We need more time. But Dr. Ogufemi, you've asked a lot of questions in multiple forms, and I'll try, for benefit of time. I could use 1 hour to answer your question, but I'll try to just address every component within 5 minutes. You said our technical vocation at schools have been wiped out. You saw in my presentation. You're very correct, but that's changed completely. And that's one of the drivers. If you saw my presentation, driver of 12.3 or 12.4. At 12.3 is to direct people as they're finishing school to technical colleges. So not everybody will go to universities. Some people are just innately skilled to get a good trade. When I came, a lot of people here, you grew up in Nigeria, there was something, we had federal technical colleges there, and we had several hundreds of state technical colleges. Some people at the Ministry of Education came about 15 years ago, converted a technical school and said, Federal School of Science and Technical Colleges. So what happened in those succeeding years? All these schools became really GSS and SSS. They were not really training technical school. So the first decision we made when we got in the first month, was to convert those schools back to federal technical colleges. We moved it to NCE, National Council of Education, last October. I called emergency National Council of Education in October. Now, all our technical schools are back, federal technical schools. But one good thing there, the states did not follow suit with federal government. We're now aligning between our federal technical colleges and our state technical colleges now. So those schools are back. Now we have, and I can tell you, the interest is the government, a policymaker that have really feel that people here. It's not that Nigerians do not want to go to school. We have now introduced 100% free technical education in Nigeria. 100%. They won't pay anything. We're paying for their fees, we're paying for their boarding, we're paying for their uniforms, we're paying for their schools, for their books. And what we've seen, 500% increase in number of students taking the NAPTEP exam, the Common Entrance to Technical Colleges, in 1 year. So it's not that kids do not want to go. We've changed that. We were back to where we were when you were growing up, Dr. Gufemi. Our technical education is back. And today, we have all our federal technical school fully subscribed all across the country. The same thing is happening to our state technical schools. We're also infusing funds to rebuild all these engineering workshops. We spent almost $120 million to rebuild workshops in our technical colleges across. We have budget for another almost 50 billion that the president has approved for us to continue to do this. So technical education is back in Nigeria, you can let's be assured. And we're doing it in such a way that kids, they're getting real life skills. We do every technical school, before you finish, you do what we call NSQF, National Skill Communication Framework. Those are, you get tested to really know that, to show that you have those skills. And as we're training this, well, that's why we have the LISIC platform. That's the job market platform to enroll, to get these kids, connect them to the labor market so that they can get a job in a more quicker fashion. So now I'll tell you, gonna go, and we're not reinventing the wheel in Nigeria today. In the UK today, and a plumber earns more than a doctor. You go to America, an electrician earns more than a lawyer. So now we've been able to get that information to the minds of our youth. They're coming in droves to go to technical school. And we've removed one of the misnomer in the education system that if you go to technical school, you don't have the company, you are less than fortunate. No, technical education is key now. Better, and I challenge our universities now that they're training kids with no life future. With all due respect to people on this call, I'd rather go to technical school than go get a degree in history that gives me zero life skills. So we've done that. And also to address your other question about polytechnics being converted to universities. No, we've stopped that. And one of the ways we've stopped College of Education being converted now, one of that way we've done is the dual mode in our College of Education. From this September now, from this year September, every single federal college of education, federal college of education, sorry, and from next year, all state college of education will migrate to that. All our federal colleges of education now they have dual mode. They can one pathway for NCE and a 4-year pathway for a bachelor's in education. We're working on the same, and that stopped the conversion of colleges of education to universities. We're now working on the bill. In fact, we're finalizing that to go to the National Assembly. In fact, we're going to make it an executive bill to go to the president, and the president will send it to the National Assembly for us to also have BTech in a polytechnic. That will put a total stop to polytechnics being converted to universities. And I can assure you today, Dr. Gufemi, things have changed in Nigeria. The country has now fully embraced technical and vocational education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alausa. We appreciate that reassurance. Can I just let the audience know that your questions are being captured? We may not be able to take all the questions because of time, but we will forward those questions onto the minister's office and make sure that we get a response. However, I would like to respect the presence of one of our speakers who has a question for the minister. This will be the last question that we will take for this session because we are heading into a short break. However, I would like to call on Professor Sadiq Abudullahi. I believe you have a question for the minister. Thank you, sir. If
Yeah.
you can keep it concise, sir, it would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
I know. Yeah, I'm just concerned that the honorable minister may not be listening to my presentation. I just want to acknowledge the impressive work he has been doing. We're very happy. He's a reformist. He's progressive, and all of the policy to action we are keeping tablet. Two things, right? The Alimajiri initiative is well taken, and schools, sports in schools, you know, it's also he has addressed it. So I just want to applaud the honorable minister, and that here in America, you are a part of it, right? Following what you're doing, and hopefully we will get together again to to continue the impressive work that you're doing. Definitely, you are in the years that I've been working, with the school in Nigeria. I was a visiting professor at Federal University of Kashari, right? So I just want to say that very quickly in case you missed my presentation, later. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much, Professor Sadiq. Like I said, we have captured all the questions that have been asked, and we will make sure that we channel those through to the Honorable Minister. What we would like to do now, we are now going to pause for a short 10-minute break, just so that we can go and refresh ourselves, go to the facilities, grab a cup of tea, grab a coffee, whatever it is that you want to do within that period of time. By my time, it is 12:42. So please, if we could all be back here at 12:50. Thank you very much for your time. And just to say, we will be taking the Honorable Minister up on his offer. So do watch out. We will be organizing a follow-up session to dig a bit more deeply into the issue of vocational and technical education. Thank you very much. See you back at 12:50. Thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. I hope we've had a chance to stretch our legs, walk around, grab a drink. What we are now going to do is to move into to hear from our final speaker for today. Before we do that, I would just like to remind us, as we mentioned at the beginning, that there will be a poll which will come up in the meeting where we would really like to have your feedback. So please, when that poll comes up, please do respond. Once again, thank you very much for coming back so promptly. And we'll now like to move on to hear from our final, but by no means the least or the last speaker for today. I would like to introduce you to Professor Sadiq Abudullahi. Professor Sadiq is adjunct professor at Florida International University and Miami-Dade College. He has over 30 years experience as a secondary school teacher and over 20 years experience as a professor of education. He has taught at 4 universities in the world, 2 in America, 1 in Jamaica, and 1 in Nigeria. He's an Olympian and represented Nigeria in tennis at the Summer Olympics in 1988. He has certainly earned his contribution to education globally. Professor Sadiq will be talking to us about the education system in Nigeria, but giving it a global perspective. So without much ado, I would like to hand over to Professor Sadiq. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Following existing protocol, this is an opportunity to come and talk about Nigeria within a global context, focusing on America. I'm not going to repeat what has been said. I've been in the business for a very, very long time, business of education. So I'm going to go, if I can put in my slide. Okay, so, and then, am I clear now?
We're just waiting for it to come up, sir. There we are. It's up now, but I do believe it might have gone ahead a little bit, depending on where you want to start from, sir. There you are.
No, you've covered this. So this is just basic. Yeah, in Nigeria, I was a visiting professor at Federal University in Kashiri in Gombe State. Right, I'm still current. So this is just the basic information. What I'm going to be focusing on is education system from a global, Nigerian education from a global perspective.
Sorry, Professor Sadiq, if I can just cut in just briefly. I will be giving you a 5-minute time check. Sorry, sir, I should have said that at the beginning. Thank you very much.
So that I can go straight to what is significant, right, in the conversation, what's important. So this is, okay, so I started the context for my presentation. I'm focusing on the highlighted note here, and then based on the discussion earlier by the Honorable Minister, where we are shifting, it looks like, yes, we are indeed in the right direction, right? So I want to focus on the U.S. What is U.S. doing that that maybe we can learn one or two things from? The issue of funding primary schools. America does fund, the federal government fund primary and secondary school, and this is, you can see that this is how much they in 2022, 2023, that the contribution of the federal government, to public education. The next slide looks at, K through 12, 30 years in primary and secondary education in Florida. So I'm going to be, giving an example of the state of Florida as a case study, to help us understand what we can, how they do it and how we do it and what we can learn from it. So the next slide is, okay, so the Florida Department of Education work hand in hand with parents, teachers, and educators, community members. So we also do this. We heard the Honorable Minister mention some aspects of the inclusive, he said inclusive agenda that he has for education, and that was very broad. It is similar to what we are, doing in the in America. Then the next slide now shifts the global emphasis now. So for us to talk about this, we have to go to United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization to see what the agenda is, and then how we can infuse that in what we're doing. The UNESCO believes that education should include the learning, the promotion, the preservation, and then we can see that again. Our Honorable Minister has touched on that in terms of entrepreneur and inclusive human capital agenda. Then we're also, modern technology. The minister also talked about that, how that has contributed in shaping what is going on around the world. Technology, the internet. So again, the Nigerian federal government is through the ministers, Federal Minister of Education, is also, try to move that direction. Bearing in mind that we live in an interdependent, interconnected, and globalized world, right? How are other nations, responding? If you look at the ranking, that the PISA ranking in the world, we're going to notice that Nigeria is still, down in the rating, but they're moving up. Where you have countries like South Korea being #1, right? Denmark #2, and then you go on and on. Finland used to be #1, they've gone down under being #8. This educational ranking allows for global competitiveness, right? So nations are, tapping into it so that they can now, provide more opportunity. And if you look at the definition, the Honorable Minister covered all of that in the new vision, that he has. The next slide, really, again, the idea of global citizenship, most nations now, because of the interconnectedness, they are trying to give their students an exposure to global education, right? Global education, the world is a village now. It is small, open, so again, the minister has alluded to that, and these are some of the issues, right? Now, going to curriculum benchmark, right? Again, we'll see that in the teacher education program, that we have in the US and then in Nigeria, the minister also talked about, how the teacher education program, will enhance, and there's a need for improvement there. So then going back to UNESCO, right? Okay, this is one of the challenges. I will see that a lot of countries, the countries that are leading, Netherlands, Belgium, US is ranked 31 in the PICA. Nigeria is ranked 191. So in that assessment, there are different assessments, but still we're still down on that ranking. But now we see that we're going to get better. Okay, so what do we do in the classroom? There are 3 areas, right? When we talk about education, teacher education, we're talking about what students should learn, how they learn, and how do we know they're learning what they're supposed to learn, teacher education. So my involvement with the school district for 30 years is that, we'll look at teacher, student, mainly student, what they learn. And then the minister also talked about data, being the guiding and helping us to really understand, so assessment, instruction, and curriculum, those 3 areas are very, very important. Again, I'm very happy to hear, that the Federal Minister of Education, is addressing those areas, right? So like I said, instructional planning, engagement, all these are benchmarks. These are the things you need, right? Okay, again, it's been covered. We just have to, somebody asked a question earlier, how do we know, that teachers are teaching appropriately, right? That's going to be the challenge, right? And then the assessment, we can see, that it's been covered. So I'm very happy to hear that, right? So now the state of Florida through the Department of Education, right? Phil, now the role of the federal government, this is very important to the minister, right? As they come in, right? The Congress legislatively, right? There's what we call Title I, right? And Title II, and then 4, and then 9. These are very important. These are federal government initiative. We all know, that federal government in the nation, in the world, do not directly get involved because the Constitution gives education and health and all to the state and the local government, right? So how do this nation really help? And I'm happy to hear, that the minister is, trying to now use the extra, resources they're getting, to help state. And he mentioned that when he mentioned Alimajiri and then sports in schools, right? Okay, Title I really is funding for schools and school districts to support students from low income. The federal government in Nigeria are already, giving out, low income food and things like that. They are doing a very good job. The Title II is the law, right? This is American with disabilities, right? So I'm happy again to say, that the Nigerian government is trying to deal with this disadvantage, maybe the disability, so they have to come up with legislation. And finally, right, and this is where, the sports come in, right? Title IX. Title IX really benefits female in this end discrimination, right? So we see that in sports a lot, where if you have 10 sports, right, there's a percentage of students that will be in that sports. So in America, university especially, so they are balancing and bringing, giving female athletes, scholars, more opportunities. So I would like, the minister to, to explore that, where more female are given opportunity. We'll do it in America. Is working, and fine. And then the assessment platform we use in Florida. This is assessment is very important because the way it is done in Florida, in America district, is that every child is being assessed and paid to the district. I think it's about $17,000 every school year, $17,000 per student, right? And it goes into everything. So and they calculate it, and that's how the district gets the money. For Title I, okay, low-income families, the federal government, work with the school district, and then based on the number, they produce free lunch and all of that stuff and whatever they need. And then I'm happy again that the honorable minister, is looking into that, right? So so that to some of my suggestions, right? And again, the minister has covered it, which is policy direction. He said what? Policy to action, right? It started with conceptualization when it came in, and then they moved, to policy discussion, right? And then now we're seeing action, so this is very positive, right? Number two, right? UNESCO recommend over 27% of the budget, and this, reflected in GDP. So this is an area that the honorable minister and the federal government, should try to see how states, are going. I hear Kaduna State, for example, where I'm from, right? They're spending over 31%, right, which is beyond the UNESCO calling. So this is an area where I hope the federal government, the legislation, the minister also has realized that it is important that we have legislation, to increase funding, not only for unity schools, right, but again, for the state. Teacher education, that's my area, right? So I'm very happy to hear what the minister has said regarding what the plans they have for teacher education. We need quality teachers. Quality teachers produce, quality students, right? It's not just going to be about curriculum. Instruction is important, and how we prepare teachers is very important. And that's what I do at Federal University of Kashiri when I introduce the global entrepreneur, curriculum as one of the pioneers, founders in 2012. Right, 2012, 2013. That's when the federal government, during that era, President Jonathan, right, we had a lot of diaspora, and came to become vice chancellors and brought a lot of us in. And I'm happy again. The minister, mentioned something about 2 weeks they're going to do this, and then all of that stuff. So this is very, very, very promising, right? So as I conclude now, right? Yeah, as I conclude, based on what I've heard from the UK perspective, okay, and then which is part of the global perspective, right? So we kind of, and then the minister presentation, right? I think we're in good hands. We need to come together. We need to understand, that the global economy, sustaining the global economy, right, is going to require, that area of challenges. For example, legislatively in Florida and in America, you cannot have more than 25 students per class, right? The average you have, research reveals that, especially in the North, where I'm from, right? We still have 40 students more in one class. And if you look at the pictures that we're seeing around, right, so there's a lot of work to be done, right? And that goes to my second bullet, improving primary and secondary education. Is costly, absolutely costly. We're still having problem here.
The
Go ahead. Okay, I'm 5 minutes. Okay, yeah, very good. Again, what is important, and I heard the minister talk about national reorientation, global literacy, entrepreneurship, civic, right? Political education, a component of national development. I heard the minister talked about that, and so finally, right, there is need for quality assurance and professional development for effective delivery of instruction, in the classroom. So that brings me to the end of my presentation, and thank you very much. And together we can now continue what the vision of the minister in moving education up the ladder of the PISA, right? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much, Professor Sadiq Abdullahi. In fact, that was a well-presented paper. And I hope as we're going along, it will sink in better for everybody, especially as we now come to the segment where we have questions and answers for you. I mean, so you'll be providing answers for us. So don't forget to our audience, please don't forget that we're expecting questions for Professor Sadiq. So as the questions come in, we'll pass them on to Professor Sadiq so that he can shed more light onto any areas that we feel we don't really understand and we want some clarity. So audience, over to you. And our audience includes everybody, even part of the team members as well. If there's anything that you feel, okay, a DM has been sent by Mr. Zechariah Ageno. But you said
okay, I got
yeah,
I got it.
Agare.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah. I got the DM. Yes, So he said, Professor, I'm looking forward. Okay, to your presentation. My question was the first asked. Although I wasn't given the opportunity to ask the question myself, I will see if I could go through the organizers to reach out. Okay, I get it. So I will. He's a technologist, and we'll go back to that section on technology. That the Nigerian Schools Foundation will put together. So probably invite him to to share his thoughts on that.
Tommy Adebayo also said he has sent you a DM as well.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So
have you received his?
Yeah. No,
oh,
not
I think
yet.
he's just saying, yeah, well done, for a job, for your presentation. That he's quite happy that you presented very well. So thank you very much, Tommy. I think yeah. I see what he's saying. It's just hailing you to say you should keep on doing the good things that you're doing, and he believes that the minister, being a listening minister, will take everything that you said on board, and some of the things that he's already embarked on, that you have also acknowledged are on board. Any other questions?
Yeah, while we're waiting for questions, and just to clarify, that there's a lot of efforts in Nigeria in order to improve the educational system. So with the new direction, the 12-4, right? Those component parts are very, very important. And the minister mentioned that too, that he's expecting diaspora participation in this. So this is very important for us, especially through this through the foundation, that we'll start thinking about ways to improve. We need to address specific problem. It's not the federal government, but it is the state that need to begin to cut down the ratio, student ratio, teacher ratio in schools. And then, of course, the curriculum issue is left to the state, not a national issue, right? But the federal government can always come in and then provide incentives and then support, and then and then link to the Alausa. It's a federal program. The unity schools that the federal government controls must also be at par with with the state, right? So we're not you're not investing too much money on the unity schools of the federal government, and then forget the state if you want to be globally competitive.
Yes, there is a question here. I'm not too sure whether it's directed at you, but I think you're still in a position to answer that question. It's from Oida Ige. I'm not sure whether it's a man or a woman, but the person says, I would like to know what you think you can do about including indigenous language as a medium of teaching in the classroom. I think the question is more, suited to the commissioner, but your own opinion as well will be valued. I mean, will be appreciated. If you can give your own opinion as to.
Yeah. No. I mean, I taught a course called Politics of Curriculum, right? Okay, so at the university. So that is where the process is. Anything that has to do with curriculum inclusion, it has to go through certain process. So indigenous, education has to go through the board, and I have to argue and then try to make it and bring in the curriculum. But don't forget though the distinction between state, okay, and national, right? So if it's going to be a state issue, then like Alamajiri education, right? So indigenous education is always there. But what does it mean? How does it add value, to overall, so, and who benefits from, this indigenous, if the definition of indigenous is local, an example, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, that is very, so it's something we need to explore and see how it goes into the curriculum, because curriculum is already overloaded with a lot of stuff, right? So we just have to keep that in mind. That's my view.
Okay, thank you. There is a Dr. Larry Jones, a son, who I believe might have a question. The person has not actually written out the question. I'm not sure whether we can highlight the Dr. Larry Jones, a son, to ask the question that the person may have. Tech.
Hello, Mr. Kuku. Just to interrupt, I understand the gentleman you're calling the special advisor on diaspora. Just bear with me. The minister's office just messaged me.
Okay.
He's a special advisor. Yes, diasporal affairs. So So we just want to recognize and call him to ask his question.
All right, okay.
Right, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon. Well, thank you so much. I think a whole lot of work has been done. My name is Dr. Lawrence Jones-Esson, the founder of the London Academy of Business School and also the founder of the International Technical Senior Secondary School in Nigeria, both in Lagos. We're currently in Lagos, but also trying to get a place in Abuja actually up and running. But I think you guys have done a lot of work. I've been in the UK for over 39 years in education. One of the doctors in management, also in knowledge management. So what has been done today is quite, apt. But I believe in the age of AI, we need to start looking into our young children from the A level upward, because that is, if you catch them young, we will be doing something magical to our country as a whole, to our community, because now they're being taught a lot of things in the school age. But we believe that having an international technical senior secondary school, basically focusing on AI and robotic, cybersecurity, all this area is imperative for the future. So I just want to mention that.
Doctor, without meaning to be rude, sir, is it possible for you to please switch on your camera so that we can see you and put a face to the voice?
Sure, why not? I'm trying to, but it says the host asked you to start video. Yes, okay.
So
good.
click on that and then we'll be able to spotlight.
Yes. Can you see me, sir?
Not yet.
Yeah, but I've actually accepted to do that, and
yeah, we see you now. We see you now.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, so I've been obviously doing a lot of work in education, both in the UK, also in Nigeria. We currently are situated at PSIN in Abuja, but also at PSSDC in Lagos. But I've been in education for the past 39 years, very experienced in education, especially in the UK education. Now, how that could be actually implemented in Nigeria, when you think of how much money is being spent by our young people coming to the UK, to Canada, to Australia, to the USA, I think it's high time for us as Nigerians to start looking into inwardly of how we can implement curriculum that can be taught in our own language or languages, and also to actually look onto having that Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa on the international Google search as well as it is. It's there, but not as much as it should be. But I think what has been said today is quite a lot. I came in late, I'm sorry, because I'm also attending another education conference in London here. But I hope to be able to connect with the organizer of this and to see how we can synergize and work together. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Larry.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your offer and we'll take that up.
Wonderful.
That. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So do we have any more questions, please? Or any comments?
I'm sorry, if I can just mention this quickly. We've had Zakaria and Temi Oyesola, Tomi Adebayo. Could they please check their DM? We would like to take them up on their offers. Please check your DM. Thank you.
Yeah, I've checked Tomi's DM and yes, so please, Tomi, kindly put on your camera so that you can ask your question or any comments that you want to pass. And Dr. Zakaria as well. Okay, in light of that, while we're waiting on these two gentlemen, I'd like to announce that we'll be going on to the next segment after this, which is information segment. And the person that will be giving us information is none other than our able guru in IT world, Mr. Rashid Adeshokan. So if there are no other questions, I've just noticed that Dr. Larry has forwarded his telephone number, which we'll make use of. Thank you very much, Dr. Larry. So, Mr. Rashid Adeshokon, are you ready for your segment?
Yes, I am ready. Thank you.
All right.
Just gonna start my presentation. Okay. Please, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
It's coming on.
We can see your screen.
Now, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So this is a presentation I'm making on behalf of Mr. Eleyae, who is unavoidably absent. He couldn't attend. So I'll just go straight to it. The work I'm going to present is here to complement the Nigerian government effort in delivering quality education for all Nigerians. NSF UK, under its education arm known as NEED, NSF UK Excellence in Education Development, has designed a teaching and learning pathways that supports both pre-service and in-service continuous professional development, CPD, for educators in Nigeria. The strategy is to work through the 6 geopolitical zones, and by so doing, be able to embed excellent teaching and learning practices across the country, assuring that over time, the expectation of every child receiving quality education as standard is realized. And this strategy has been informed by some of the policies that the Nigerian government has put out themselves. And this includes the Education for Renewed Hope. Okay, I'm just going to show everything on the screen, and you can all confirm or agree with me that not one of these has not been touched by the Honorable Minister. So these are some of the policies that the Nigerian government have put out, ranging from Education for Renewed Hope to the DOT initiative. And each one of them has a different focus and target. Some of these have been touched upon today. The TVET, the Honorable Minister discussed that, and hopefully we'll be able to bring him back to discuss further on that. And we have the DOT initiative, which is about data repository, out-of-school children education, teacher training and development, skills acquisition and development. So this data in front of you compares the teacher-to-student ratios in Nigerian secondary schools across 6 geopolitical zones. And it's to illustrate the urgent need for more well-trained teachers in our classrooms, bearing in mind that these are just averages. The real figures could be a lot higher than you are saying right now. It's worth noting some of the key issues identified, like if you look at the Southwest, for example, the Southwest has got better infrastructure, probably compared to other regions. And then you can see how that translates to the teacher-to-student ratio. Now, if I take you to the Northwest, we've got high population density and low teacher recruitment rate. And this directly or indirectly has an impact on that ratio. And the same thing applies to the other regions. Now, this bar chart, it shows the direct correlation between the number of well-trained quality teachers and student performance. And we can all see, we can all conclude that there is a direct correlation between the two. They are almost like directly proportional. And we can say that the more the better trained qualified teachers that we have, the better the educational outcomes of our students. The pathway, following our experience of training teachers and providing varying levels of advice to schools over the years, we've devised a flexible teacher training program that secures consistent, improved teaching and learning practices. This will directly enhance student outcomes, and the structure is set out in 3 levels. So The first level is the first rule, teacher's expectation standard, effective classroom, and then guidelines for ACP. And the middle row talks about the targeted teachers training, continuous development, training of educators beyond the classroom, library services, educational resources, use of AI or any technological tools to enhance teaching and learning. And then the final level is the ECP, teacher department self-evaluation, the learning journal, and the certification and ongoing support for teachers. And there have been so many questions coming from the audience about, okay, what is the Honorable Minister or what is the country doing about teachers training? We can talk about students from now till the kingdom come, but if the quality of teachers are not improved or is not improved, then the students are as good as not being properly educated. So this, the module under each category, this is the course that we have on offer, which again is designed to complement the policies of the federal government of Nigeria, as mentioned by the Honorable Minister for Education. You can complete this in various ways. In one go, this lasts for about 6 weeks, 2 weeks per term, allowing for schools and teachers to embed their acquired skills into their daily professional practices. Or you can take it as a short courses where schools teachers can decide to narrow their competency gap by selecting topics that is relevant to them, themes that specifically meet their professional or contextual need. We have also developed a teaching and learning master plan mainly for secondary schools to help support professional excellence, target setting for teachers, departmental and whole school improvement plans and policies. So some of the benefits of what we are doing at NSF UK and the benefit to schools in Nigeria and the Nigerian education system in general is offering all teachers high quality in-service professional development, improve teaching and learning capacity by closing the competency gap, awareness and cultivation of professional standards, and that will help ensure consistency of practice, professional development, training record, portfolio, data analysis of student performances, attendance, and all of that. Sustain positive impact on student outcomes academically, socially, and better future life chances. Ongoing professional support for schools. And these are just some of the benefits to the schools. So that has brought me to the end of my presentation, which I'm going to stop now. I don't know if Dr. Ronke Soyombo is here, so he's going to tell us more about Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Abdul Rashid. Unfortunately, Dr. Ronke Soyombo is not here now, but we'll now be going on to the next segment, which will be handled by our head of department, Lady Mo, that's Mrs. Mosun Mola Adeniyi.
Thank you very much, Akogun, for emphasizing the Adeniyi. Thank you. What I would like to do before we move on to that information segment is, if you are interested in the training that Mr. Adeshokwa has been talking about, I will, in a moment or in the next couple of minutes, I will be putting a QR code and a link into the chat. If you're interested in that training, then please do complete the form, and we will get in touch with you about that. So anyone, like I said, anyone who is interested in taking part in the training, we will please complete the form. We'll gather that information and we'll be in touch with you. As my co-moderator has said, we're now moving into the next segment, which is our panel discussion. Now, I will be handing over to my colleague, Charles, who we met earlier, a very valued member of the education team, as I said then, and he is going to facilitate the panel for us. This will give us an opportunity to hopefully allow members of the audience to ask their questions. My appeal would be, please, can we keep them concise and to the point? We, as always, we're under time pressure. I would like to say a big thank you to our speakers who will be joining that panel. And without much further ado, I will hand over to Charles, and that will give me an opportunity to actually drop that information in the chat. Charles, over to you.
Thank you very much, my sister. This value that you attach to me, I hope it translates into pounds or naira one day. If it's in naira, I want in a big bag. But it's always a pleasure to be part of a laudable program, as Dr. Sadiq and everyone seems to have suggested earlier on. And it's my little sadaka, my contributions to humanity. It's a privilege, it's a great honor to facilitate this particular segment. And arguably, I can make a case for every speaker, every session today, but I'm going to make a special case for the Q&A sessions because, colleagues, you've listened to various speakers, and most importantly, the federal minister. It will be an injustice if you've not been provoked, if you don't have any contribution to make, and if you don't, I've got access to people on the line. I know some of the names. I might just pick on you. So don't drop off because I've just mentioned that. I might pick on you because no one has a monopoly on knowledge. So we all can contribute a little penny. But before going afar, I think it's important to recognize that we still have two speakers with us. We had the apology from the minister. He's got double engagement. He's unable to join us. But he's made us an offer we cannot refuse, in my view, that we need to re-engage with him sooner and later. Hopefully we'll have a bigger audience who are itching to ask him direct questions. But for the meantime, I think it's important to recognize Dr. Temi Ladenika and Professor Sadiq, who are eloquent speakers. And it's always very satisfying when I see my own people thriving in diaspora. It's absolutely important. Colleagues who know me, I'm very passionate about reading about Black people and Nigerians in particular doing so well in this country. Yes, there is a challenge. Someone said earlier on, maybe we should all go back and contribute to our motherland. And we will do that at the right time, at our own convenience. So, Dr. Temi, it's absolute delight to see you. You'll be rejoining us for being a member of the Academic Population Committee in the UK. Professor Sadiq, nice to see you again. We saw you last year, passionate as ever, and that's why we said, this time around, rather than contribute from the sideline, we want to make you one of the main actors or actresses on today. So thank you both for being on the call. But I think it's also important to recognize, in the absence of the minister, there are some of his colleagues here who, I don't know whether protocol allowed me to call them colleagues, but there are his colleagues who have helped us in making today or getting the minister in preparing. One of them is Dr. David Atuwo, who is the special advisor on technical affairs. He's still on the call. I also got Dr. Bayo Adedewa, again, another special advisor who is partly on the call, and I will explain that in a minute. And finally, I don't know whether he's a doctor. I did ask him, he hasn't come back to me, is Mr. Lanre Lamina, again, another special advisor, working directly with the minister. Thank you, three of you, for helping us to get to where we are today. And they will love to be part of the conversation. But as I understand the protocol may not allow them to do that, because apparently the protocol is that when a minister has spoken, unless it specifically delegates to the special advisor, they can't be part of the Q&A. So it's safer for them not to go and say something which the minister may or may not agree with. But the other two, as currently ubiquitous, they are supporting the minister on other platforms simultaneously. So it's going to be difficult to get distracted. So any question for the ministers? We will try and I'll canvass the view of Dr. Temi and Dr. Sadiq. If you don't mind, you will have a view. It doesn't mean you're not speaking for the minister. And also, but more importantly, folks, this is your show. It's not just for Dr. Sadiq or Dr. Temi, it's your show. Please feel free to indicate if you want to contribute to the conversation. On that note, we've started early, so which means we've got more time that was planned for. I think moderator can correct me. I understand this is meant to finish by 2:25. We should have started at 1:50, so we managed to gain some time back. So hopefully that's good news. So no radio silence on me, please. Don't go quiet on me. If you do, I will pick on you. If I can't pick on you, we'll have a siesta for the next almost 30 minutes. Good sleep. Right. Who is brave enough to raise the first question? Can I, first of all, take the privilege of being the facilitator to ask Dr. Sadiq very briefly and Dr. Temi the question. We've heard from you, we heard from the minister. The burning question is so what? What will happen on the back of what is being introduced? Does it make a difference? If you are a football fanatic like me, currently I'm suffering because I support Manchester United, but different coaches apply different techniques. The Man U manager is dogmatically following a system that doesn't seem to be working. So that's a question. If you translate that into education system in Nigeria, what is wrong currently? What is going to happen in the future? This is a question. So let me turn to Dr. Temi first. You can be critical, you can be optimistic, it doesn't matter, but briefly, please, to just open up as an icebreaker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Obazuaye, for your question and for the very nice way you've introduced us. I do apologize for not being a minister, but I will manage as a lecturer, humbly. Just to say my surname is pronounced Ladenika. I know that people sort of struggle a bit with it, but that's my surname. And so you say, so what? I mean, quite a lot has been said today, and I think that it's worthwhile us asking for a copy of the minister's speech, because there's a lot of detail in there that one could take time to go over and explore and ask questions. But on the surface of it, for me, I wonder at the amount of depth in terms of things like the individual experience. And where I'm going with that is education going to be free? Are parents going to pay? What's there? So there are lots of finer details that I think haven't been said, and it's probably not practical enough to say those things as well. But what has come across clearly is the government, or the Nigerian government, is trying to address the issue of millions of children being out of school. And the idea of saying, okay, it has to be 12 years. 12 years are foundational, and that's a very long time for a foundation. But there's a reason why it's being said. 12 years are foundational. And the assumption is, because it's been extended itself to 12 years, more children will attend. And so my question is, why are they not attending? Why are they not attending when it's 6 years? You know, if when it was 6 years and then it was 9. So let's even go to the most recent one that is 9. Why were so many millions of children out of school when the basic education was 9 years? And if so many children are out of school when basic education is 9 years, how does extending it to 12 years make them come into school? The Honorable Minister spoke about data, and he said, you know, a lot of what he's doing is data-driven. And I think it would be great to have access to the data on which the decisions were made. Sometimes there could be, and some governments have kind of transparency policies where there are platforms that you can go to online and take a look at data and, you know, or at least have access to the data. So I understand what you're saying about us having an icebreaker, because I think there's so many questions. Quite a few questions have popped up on the chat that probably haven't been seen and might be seen later. And I know it's really difficult when you're doing something online. There's some things you see and other things that you don't. One of the questions that arose was, is this new initiative looking at teaching the curriculum in indigenous languages? And the way I understood that question was having the medium of teaching as an indigenous language rather than teaching indigenous languages as part of the curriculum. And that's a really big question. You know, like in Japan, children are taught in Japanese, and in Germany, children are taught in German. You're about to say something.
Yeah. Okay. No. It's just you know, that we can move on. We will probably come to this question. You're absolutely right. I mean, I've been looking at the charts to pick up questions, and thank you for reminding us how to pronounce your name.
Indeed. Do you want to try and say it?
Ladenika. Yep.
Well done. That's an A.
No, thank you. Did you notice that our leader did not pronounce my surname, which is Obazuaye, because people try and pronounce it. You put a spell check on my surname, it comes up with obituary as a substitute for Obazuaye. But yeah, I'm still alive. I'm still here, so I'm not morbid. So thank you for that. Dr. Sadiq, again, just very quickly, your response to that icebreaker, please.
Could you what's the icebreaker? I was just
yeah, it was what I call a so what question. In the light of the reform, which you seems to be quite supportive of, you pray and plead that it does succeed, and we've given us a picture of how other climates are dealing with it. Just very quickly, so it's what I call a so what question. What is going to be different going forward?
Look, my concern, and I've been saying it for years, is implementation of policies in Nigeria. We know the human factor, we know the Nigerian factor, right? Let's be real, right? You know, so we just have to find a way, you know, to work with government, you know, to implement, and on one hand, and then the private sector must also, you know, come in. So I applaud what I heard from the minister, and some of us are taking initiative, and I think that's that's what I would like to add to to the presentation today. That look, it's action now, and the action is all of us contributing directly or indirectly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to see if colleagues might be able to help me in terms of the questions, but also in terms of people indicating their hand, because I want this to be more face-to-face engagement. Anyone who wants to spotlight themselves and ask the question before I pick on a question of my own? No, Kenny.
Can I quickly say something? Dr. Ronke Soyombo has actually come on board the panel. So she'll introduce herself, and then, you know, she can engage with the question and answers as well.
Okay, all right. So it's nice to be flexible. I don't have a brief on my sister Ronke. Sorry, Ma, do you want to just, as briefly as you can, just introduce yourself and what you do, just as briefly as you can, please?
Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon. So, my name is Ronke Soyombo, the Registrar for TRCN, that's Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, presumably the teachers' registration is the same as the equivalent in the UK here, whereby it's a statutory role and every teacher is required to register. Yep.
It is. It's just like the qualifying teaching status that everybody has to have their QTS, your number and everything.
Right. Yeah. Since you're brave enough to be part of the panel impromptuly, I'm going to continue with you and I'm going to challenge you. How effective is that registration? Because I know there are multiple of schools and teachers in Nigeria who probably are not qualified teachers and they do teach. how do we regulate that? And do you bar them from teaching? What measures are in place? Please.
Thank you very much. From the Office of the Minister, you will see that part of what we have done as a sectoral team is to actually plan on accelerated program, because I must tell you that maybe we have about 40% of teachers registered with TRCN at the moment. I mean, I joined just about 120 days ago. No, sorry. Yeah, about 120 days ago. And we seem not to have, particularly the teachers from private schools, they're not on the, a lot of teachers from private schools are not on the radar, and that's because they're not qualified teachers. A lot of them are teaching with other degrees, but we're not going to say no to that, because the key thing is we have to be very inclusive, and we're not about the 40% of children in our public schools. We are caring for all the 100% children in Nigeria. So what we have done is we have set up accelerated program that we should be launching before the year runs out, where people will be able to go, I mean, people with without education degrees will be able to go for professional diploma in education or postgraduate diploma in education, depending on their needs. And that's something that we're going to accelerate for 6 months for experienced teachers. And with that, they'll be able to actually go for professional qualifying exam and get their QTS. And sorry, not QTS in London now, and get their TRCN certificate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma. I love your answer. You prefixed by saying, this is my honeymoon period. So colleagues on this platform, be very gentle with me. I'm still in honeymoon, 120 days. So when we come back and re-engage the minister in months to come, your honeymoon will be over. So we'll be asking that question again. So no, thank you. Any other person before I pick on anyone who
There's a hand up. That hand has been up for quite a while.
Yes, there are. Sorry to interject, Mr. Obazuaye. There are some hands that are up.
Okay, thank you. On my screen, it might be time delay on my part. I can see Dr. Larry, is it Larry Jones or Larry Jones? Please come in, sir.
I just want to thank you so much, Prof, for your moderation. The lady who just spoke, the lady who just spoke, I think they're doing a great job, because I spent some time in Singapore on teachers' education. One of the things that the Singaporeans pride themselves on is on teacher education. So if you are setting up 6 weeks or 6 months accelerated course for teachers' education, I think that's wonderful. And it'd be nice to see if you can also allow some of the diasporian teachers who actually teach in Oxford, in Cambridge, here in the UK, to participate in becoming one of your lecturers as well. That'd be great. That is just what I want to say. I'd like to volunteer myself as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's wonderful. Not only you brave enough to show your face and ask questions, you've also said, here I am, tap into my expertise. And I'm sure my leader and the rest of the NSF Education Committee have recognized your name, volunteering to help us. No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can see, I don't know whether it's my camera or whatever, Miss or Mrs. Tokumbo or Shubayo, Bayo, your hands was up, it went down again, it's gone up again. Over to you, ma.
Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you. My name is Tokumbo Shumbayo. And it's been a really interesting session. I came in right from the very beginning, so got to hear all the ministers and the speakers. And Dr. Temi, thank you so much for that insight. I think one of the things that you said earlier, I just want to add into that, talking about, self. Is this education for ourselves? Is it for the workplace? Is it for society? I agree it's all three, because all three are needed. And there's not one or the other, but all of them. And I think we need to start educating our young people to understand that it's not just about them following their passion, but they start learning that it's also contributing to the workplace, because if we don't have the workplace, then no one has the money, and it's a kind of cycle. But really what I want to ask about the Nigerian side is, I know that the minister did say that they're putting data together, and data is so important, absolutely essential. But while we're still building that, because we've been through I went to secondary school. Well, you know, I schooled in the UK, was taken back to Nigeria at a young age, thank God for my mom, and spent many years, finished secondary school. Even I went to the Polytechnic, and good to hear that they're turning them into universities. But then came back to the UK in, I think, 2008. Now, what I'm trying to say here is, while we are waiting on that data, is it possible for them to pick a few schools and start to model and test, so that when they are talking to other organizations, they can say, we've tried it out with these, even if it's a classroom, we've tested it out and it's worked. We've got a group of kids in an area, it could be in a local government, and we've put in what we want to do. Because if we want to go by the larger scale of it and the cost, we might end up not being able to achieve it. I remember I went to secondary school. We were just a year before the government in Lagos State, Jakonde at that time, came up with the free school education and moving school. Honestly, on paper, it was fantastic. Implementation was the problem. And at the end of the day, where I remember when I was in Form 1, the first day of school, we got all the books, everything. And then I got into year 2, and it was a struggle to get even one book part the whole term. So honestly, with Nigeria, we have grand ideas, and I think that is everywhere. But just like Professor Sadiq has said, talk is great. Putting these things together is fantastic. But if you don't implement them...
Right. My sister,
Yeah.
sorry, I need to cut so that I can get as many people as you can.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
Dr. Temi, Dr. Sadiq, what I'm hearing from my sister is that we know the policy is there. Policy needs to translate into action. And a key non-negotiable, not even with a perimeter, but not a parameter, but a perimeter, like a handshake, has to be the resources, whether it's in books or funding. How do we ensure that money follows policy? Dr. Temi, Dr. Sadiq, any one of you want to take the question? Money following policy, otherwise nothing will happen.
Okay, so let me your question is at the cross of the Nigerian problem, right? You know, because government money is being controlled by the executive, so to say, right? You know, so briefly, it has to come individuals that are patriotic, that are committed, you know, that are in there for nation building, right? You know, it has to be individuals that come in and model appropriate best practices in Nigeria, right? You know, the challenges you all know that. So until it comes to, you know, a lot of us from the diaspora, I'm ready to go to relocate, you know, and then do what I've been doing, right? You know, so to model, and I think that's you know, that's the way I would like to answer. You know, it's on individual going in there, knowing that, look, the Nigerian factor, and having a good plan and working within the community, you know, and then, like you said, pilot, right? So why can't we start from your own community, right? If it is one school in your own community, right? Teacher education is there. So why don't we go to that College of Education or university and then align with them and then start from there, and then we cannot make all the connection. This is a very good forum where all of us, you know, can begin to share ideas and then see where our strengths are, and then focusing on the strength. And the minister is ready to accommodate, you know, some of us.
Right. Just on the back of that question, and it's not just for the panel member, anyone who has a knowledge of the funding arrangement in Nigeria, what is the current funding arrangement? What is the percentage spent of our budget or GDP is spent on education? Anyone very quickly, please. I don't want a long lecture, but just to educate us, what is the formula, please? And how does that compare with the UK, where Dr. Temi is? I'm sure there are other colleagues here who experience in teaching in the UK. Does anyone know the formula? Added to that, I heard from the grapevine that UBEC, or what they call them, the organization in Nigeria that provide funding, they only supported, funding is supported up to JS, junior secondary school, not senior secondary school. Does anyone know? Can anybody shed light on those two questions simultaneously? Anyone? Anyone? Because I understand.
Hello, can I comment on that?
Yes, please, as briefly as you can, please. Yep, go on, sir.
Okay.
Oh, Ma, sorry.
Funding, yeah, and that's why it is basic. Funding is only under you.
So your line is breaking up.
We lost you there, ma.
Okay, so let me, yeah.
Is that Professor Sadiq?
Yeah. I just while you were talking, I was trying to, get quick information here about funding allocation formula, the framework for sharing funds from the federation, account. So it is there. The process again, it starts from the Federal Ministry of Education with their budget. It goes to the NAS, the Education Committee in the House and in Senate. And then before it goes to approval. Somebody else can add more to that.
Right.
Sorry to interject at moderator's privilege. We are on a 5-minute time check. Thank you. Okay,
thank you. Anyone else? I don't know if I've got any more hands. I'm trying to move between different, just anyone else who wants to ask a question? I cannot see any hand on my screen. That might be down to my poor technological skills or the equipment, but no one, so no one is correcting me in that respect.
Mr. Obazuaye, can I cut in there?
Yes, please.
Again, moderator's privilege. I would like to just say that we would like to move on with all due respect to the members of our panel here. And the reason is Dr. Ronke Soyombo has some information that she needs to share with us, which we would really like to hear. So I'd just like to say a very big thank you to our panel members. Thank you very much for responding to all the questions. Mr. Obazuaye, thank you for facilitating that excellently well. And can I just say that all the questions that have been asked, even if we haven't had a chance to answer them live, they will be captured and they will be presented to the minister to get a response. So Dr. Ronke Soyombo, over to you, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, the second time. For TRCN, that's the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, our website is very, very informative, and that's something we launched on the 26th of August, and that's www.trcn.gov.ng. trcn.gov.ng. So it will be nice for people to visit the platform. We've been getting quite a lot of professional standing letters from US and UK, from people wanting to teach, and also people wanting to sit for the exam as well. There's a
how much is yours?
Sorry about that interruption in the background. We do apologize for that. Dr. Ronke, sorry about that. Please do continue.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So for people wanting to sit for the examination, there is the Match B exam, which is coming up on the 20th of November to 22nd of November, and is all over Nigeria. So we will be running professional qualifying exam, and with that, within 1 week, we try as much as possible to get everybody their result, and that's within the SLA. And also, people can now print their certificates online now, rather than you saying, oh, we have to come to any office. You don't need to go to any office, but it's very seamless now. People can access us online and print out the certificates and their licenses. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Soyombo. So
thank you.
For our educators online, our teachers online, please do visit the TRCN website. We are looking, as an organization, NSF UK, and our subsidiary in Nigeria, we are looking forward to working quite closely with this organization and other organizations. You may all recall that in the minister's presentation, he did mention the importance of partnership. We need to recognize that we can't do it all by ourselves. So it is about working in partnerships with other organizations. Thank you very much. Now, as I quickly check my notes and agenda, I would like to say once again a very big thank you to all of our attendees, in particular to all our speakers. I will still get the opportunity to do my vote of thanks at the end. But one of the things we would like to do now is we would like to take comments and remarks. We would like to take comments and remarks from our Director of Education in the NSF UK, in NSF UK, Dr. Remi Kayode. Dr. Remi, over to you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone, distinguished guests, colleagues, and partners in education. It is a privilege to speak today as the Director for Education within NSF UK, following the Honorable Commissioner or Honorable Minister of Education's keynotes and the thought-provoking contributions from Professor Sadiq and Dr. Temi Ladenika. Our seminar today, Education in Nigeria, Understanding the 6334 versus 12-3 formula, what's in a number, has illuminated a deeper truth that numbers alone do not define the quality or the purpose of education. They are frameworks, and what matters is the content, what matters is the context, and what matters is the capacity within those structures. From the keynote address given by our Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Alausa, it is evident that the emerging 12-3 model, comprising 12 years of foundational education, followed by 3 years of specialized or vocational training, signals a deliberate shift towards inclusive, competency-based, and lifelong learning pathways. Crucially, the Nigerian Education Sector Renewal Initiative stands not merely as a policy framework, but as a catalyst blueprint for transforming the education landscape to align with global benchmarks and drive national development. Professor Sadiq challenged us to rethink our positioning from a fourth-tier system to a first-tier ambition, that moving from a fourth-tier to a first-tier education system requires a shift, not just in policy, but in mindset. He reminded us that global literacy is not optional. In a world that is both interconnected and deeply fractured, Nigerian students must be equipped not just to compete, but to contribute meaningfully to global society. He spoke of education as a tool for equity, where policy alignment, teacher quality, and adequate funding are not luxuries, but they are necessities. His call for UNESCO's 27% budget benchmark and legislative support for unity schools is a reminder that investment in education is investment in national resilience. Dr. Temi Ladenika, with a historical lens, took us back to the roots, tracing the evolution of missionary education, colonial contradictions, and the evolution from British structures to the 6334 system. Her insight was clear. Education is not just about structure, it's about preparing for life. Curriculum must serve employability, civic engagement, and social cohesion. So the question we're asking is, what's in a number? Whether it is 6334 or 123, the real questions are, what kind of learners are we shaping? Are they globally aware? Are they locally grounded? And are they future ready? These are questions worth answering. And in my humble opinion, there are three main players involved in answering this. The government, whether that be at the federal level, the state level, or the local level, they've got to be involved to answer this question. The school teachers, the authorities of the school, and thirdly, of course, the students and the learners themselves. So as NSF UK, we stand at a unique intersection, bridging diaspora expertise with local realities. Our voluntary role is not passive, and it may not be symbolic, but it is very purposeful and strategic. We are here to connect, to convey, and to catalyze. So these are some of the things that we are hoping to do going forward. Some of them have been mentioned earlier. One is to partner with the TRCN and other state actors to co-design informed training that are leveraging on the NSF network to enhance professional development and instructional delivery. And we are also advocating for curriculum reform that embeds global literacy, civic education, and entrepreneurial thinking beyond numeric structures. And so on a final note, I want to say this. Let us not be defined by the numbers alone. Let us be defined by the impact that we make, the partnerships that we build, and the future that we shape. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Remi Kayode. Thank you for giving us a very nice summary of what we have heard here today. And now we've reached that moment in the program that I had been talking about earlier on. I would kindly ask our tech team to kindly run our poll, please. The poll should pop up on your screen in the next few minutes. If we could kindly respond to the poll. Your feedback is really important. It will help us inform how we manage our seminars going forward. It will give us an idea about other topics that we can promote and invite you to attend as well. Thank you very much. We'll pause for a few minutes to give people the opportunity to complete the poll. Depending on the device that you are using, for those who may be using a computer, it should pop up onto your computer screen. If you're using another device, you may have to, I think you might have to click on the three dots or to play around with your device a little bit in order to find the poll. But I'm happy to say that responses are coming in. So thank you very much. We'll give it a few minutes as we get more familiar with our various devices and continue to respond to the poll. Many, many thanks for our participants who are still with us, particularly those who have joined very early on in the process. Yes, please, if we could kindly keep the responses coming through. Thank you very much. The numbers are creeping up slowly. As a moderator and host, I have the privilege of being able to see how things are moving along. So we will just pause here for a moment. Thank you very much, everyone. We really, really appreciate your completing this. and for honoring that request. Thank you. We'll give it a few more minutes. We have a bit of time to spare here. And like I said, it is important that we get those responses. Please use, I believe there is an area where there is free text, so please share your thoughts in there as well. As we have said consistently, please do share your thoughts, your comments in the chat. Even though we may not get to them to present them live, all that information will be gathered and we will look at it and make sure that questions that need to be answered will be answered. And we will share that information on our website. So the questions will be responded to. I would like to say as well, thank you, because as the speakers have been talking and as the seminar has progressed, so to speak, there has been quite a lot of interaction going on in the chat. There has been interaction on screen with people acknowledging, using their reactions, and so on. So thank you all very much. The responses are still coming in. Thank you very much. So please do keep responding. I will give it another 2 minutes by my time, which means I will be closing the poll at 14:18. Thank you very much, everyone. The responses are coming in thick and fast. Thank you very much. It is very much appreciated. Thank you. Also, please keep those reactions going as well. It's really nice to see the engagement that is going on. The chat has been quite lively. And for the benefit of those who may have joined a little bit later, I have reposted the information for those who may be interested in the training, which Mr. Adeshoko spoke about. Please do complete the expression of interest form. Thank you. 1 more minute. I'm counting down. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patience as well, for giving us the opportunity to gather this valuable feedback and valuable information. Thank you very much, everyone. Your time and your contributions are not taken for granted, and we will certainly take all that on board and take that away with us. The recording of the seminar will be made available as well. So for those of you who were unable to join, or if you know anyone who was unable to join, the link to join the seminar will be made available. Sorry, the recording of the seminar will be made available. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm now going to close the poll. Wow, 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 wow. Thank you very much, everyone. Sorry, something just popped up on my screen. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, everyone. As we come to the close of today's virtual seminar on education in Nigeria, understanding the 6334 versus 123 formula, what's in a number? It's clear that this has been more than a discussion about educational structures. It has been a thoughtful exploration of the kind of learning, equity, and outcomes we want for Nigeria's future. Our speakers have provided rich insights into how these frameworks shape not just policies and curricula, but also the learners and teachers at the heart of the system. We've heard diverse perspectives on what's working, what needs to change, and how collaboration can drive real progress. But before we wrap up, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the incredible team that made today's session possible. Special thanks go to the education team, Angelina Smith, Ayotola Ayeni, Bola Jayesimi, and of course, our wonderful facilitator, Mr. Charles Obazuaye, Otumba Eric Ayola, Jules Oshao, Akoguni Kuku, my able co-moderator, Oke Eleyae, Mr. Rashid Adeshokon, Dr. Remi Kayode, and Remi Umefwara, who unfortunately has been unable to join us today. And by no means last, our able tech colleague, Temi Ogubanjo, who has been working frantically behind the scenes to make sure that we were all able to join effortlessly from our different locations. Thank you very much to the team.
Okay, Eleyae.
Yes, Mr. Eleyae, I did mention his name too.
All right.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the organizing team, I extend heartfelt appreciation to our keynote speaker, the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Olatunji Alausa, for his insights and for his time. To our wonderful guest speakers, Dr. Temi Ladenika and Professor Sadiq Abubakar Abudullahi, who had to wake up so early to join us. And I quote one thing he said, anything for education. Thank you very much, sir. We thank them for sharing their expertise and knowledge. And to everyone else who has joined us online today, special advisors, principals, chief executives, members of the media, captains of industries, educators, and all our distinguished attendees. Your participation, questions, and engagement have truly enriched this conversation. Let's continue to build on the ideas shared here in our schools, workplaces, communities. The future of education in Nigeria depends on our collective effort and commitment to reimagining what's possible. Thank you once again for being part of this insightful discussion. Wishing you all a pleasant day ahead. But remember, let's keep the conversation going. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was awesome.